Hey everyone. Hi. How you doing? Happy Sunday. I realize I did it again. I had the wrong date. It's the 16th, not the 15th. So how's everybody doing? Happy Sunday. Everybody hear me okay? Ah, you did make the live stream, J Cat Lady. Well, we've got so many things to talk about, don't we? We've got blitzes to do, we've got places to go and people to meet. We've got all kinds of things going on. Oh, I like that design that you did, Jill. Beautiful. Well, let's first give gratitude. Hi, V. Britton. Good for you that you're making tea. I've got some of my ice water here, and I'm finishing up my coffee. Ooh, the fake electors. That'll be interesting. Good to see you, Karen Jung. Hi, Angela Bruce. Yes, Mila is staring out the window, watching her cat TV. Maybe she'll show up a little bit later if she hears me talking to everybody. Hi, Lisa. Hi, K Travel. Tarot, good to see you here. Barbara D. Wood is in the house. Nice to see you. Cat's Cauldron. Hello. V. Britton. Deborah Smith. Redwoods. Oh, wow. Yeah. Tonga, the volcano that went off. Terrible, terrible. I hope everyone's going to be okay. Very scary indeed. Barbara's in the house. Carol Bastian. Marcelina Robalato. We'll keep saying hi to everybody as we go along. Oh, Geocosmic Valentine, making a smoothie. Good for you. Be sure and check out Geocosmic Valentine on YouTube. She is a trance medium. She uses HCRV. She's trained in HCRV. She's also an astrologer. So it's an interesting pairing of those two skills. If you'd like to see her work, be sure and check out her channel. So, reach out to me, text me, Miss Patricia. It'd be cool if I'm around. All right, so I should announce that ripe color. Many of you know that there have been a series of really serious fires that have happened in New York. Some of the old tenant buildings have gone up, and unfortunately, ripe color was one of the people who was. Unfortunately, his home was destroyed in a fire. If you'd like to donate to Ripe Color, he has a PayPal account. And you can find that information by going to Ripe Color on YouTube. It's really horrible when you lose all your possessions. And our lives can be disrupted so quickly. And so if you'd like to help Ripe Color, please consider doing so. Again, that's through PayPal, and you can find his information listed on his channel. So, a couple things are going on. I got a lot of feedback from the remote view I did a couple of days ago on the average American voter. And I think there's some confusion about what I do. People were attacking me and saying, this isn't a remote view, it's Whimsy's personal opinions. So let me tell you a little bit about what happened. A couple of days ago, I was looking at 538 on Biden's popularity, which is now 43%. So one of the things you can do if you're doing long form meditation, HCRV, also if you're doing Silva mind control, which is very similar. You can check out the book, Silva Mind Control, Help from the Other Side, if you'd like to learn some of the techniques. But anyway, you can take a question and then you can go into an alpha state or a trance state and then attempt to get as much information as you can by putting your own biases aside and just observing something objectively from the perspective of the other, right? So the question was, how do we win the midterms, what's going on with the average American, etc. So that's the remote I want to talk about today and get some clarification on it. When I put myself in the shoes of the average American, I know a lot of people wanted to debate with the average American. It's the fault of Fox News. It's the fault of Trump. Maybe that's true, but it's not going to help us win the midterms, right? So we want to win the midterms. So the purpose of the remote was, what do we need to do in order to win the midterms? Not who's right, who's wrong, passing the buck on the previous administration, passing the buck on to the whatever is going on there. I mean, we just want to win the midterms, putting emotionalism aside, which is difficult when you're an empath. I get it. What do we got to do? And that was my question. So, as I put myself in the shoes of the average American voter, how I felt in my situation, not as Whimsy, who votes Democrat and is a progressive. That's not what I know my opinion, right? I live in Portland, Oregon. I grew up in Portland, Oregon. I think it's pretty obvious what my politics are. That's kind of, self-indulgent, right? I and it doesn't help me figure out what we can do as what the Democrats can do to win the election. So I want to know what the other is thinking. I want to see his worldview or her worldview. I want to understand why she's voting the way she's voting or why he's voting the way he's voting. And that's the function of getting out of ourselves and putting ourselves in the shoes of the other. So, how I felt in my situation as someone who doesn't watch a lot of TV, doesn't watch a lot of news, because most people are working and living their lives. They're not sitting in front of the news, right? Most people have almost no interest and no education about what's going on in the country. The average American feels that because of what's happening to them with their life, the lives of their friends, the average American feels, based on what I saw in the remote, that the American government doesn't care about them, that the American government hasn't cared about the American people for a very, very long time. And some of the things that came up, inflation is now at 7%, which is the worst it's been since 1982. So if I'm the average American living somewhere in the Midwest, working my ass took us off, right? And my dollar was barely getting enough food to feed my family, and everybody's working class, now the working poor. My dollar is 7% less value since this inflation, so I'm dealing with that. That puts a lot of stress on me as the average American. If I've just lost, my dollar is now not worth 100 pennies, it's worth 93 pennies, right? So there's that I have to deal with. There's the healthcare, which is the most expensive in the world. And big pharma, unfortunately, is making a lot of money. The insurance companies that really don't do a lot. Our ancestors didn't have insurance companies. They put money aside in a special kitty for their medical expenses. They went to see the doctor, say once a year, paid the doctor cash for their annual visit, and then the doctor might prescribe some medicine. And that was that. If there was an emergency or whatnot, you took it out of your medical kitty and you just paid as you went. So this new idea of healthcare, that you have to have insurance and that the money is supposed to go to the insurance companies, and then they're going to give a few pennies to the doctor and give you a few pennies worth of healthcare, is a new concept that really starts to take off, 20, 30, maybe 40 years ago. But prior to that, it was doctors were paid in cash. So the healthcare is the most expensive in the world. And so you have somebody who is struggling to stretch the dollar already. Inflation goes up 7%. They're physically exhausted. They're getting older. Their health is not getting better. It's getting worse. They can't afford their health care. They can't afford their medications. Home prices are through the roof. So goodbye putting money down on your daughter's new house with her. You know, in the olden days, we would put money aside and we would help our children buy their first house. So that's been affected. Student loan relief doesn't exist. And in fact, people will borrow, say, $10,000 to go to school, pay diligently, and pay into the system $5,000, $10,000, and now they owe 40,000. So it isn't that people aren't paying back their loans; it's that the compounded interest is so great that by the time the average student gets a job that makes any money, it's beyond, it's way beyond what they originally borrowed because of compounded interest. They thought they were going to get a job, they couldn't. When they did get a job, it wasn't enough to pay the student loans. They borrowed 10, now they owe 40K, and they've already put out 20K, right? So there's that disaster. And then finally, jobs, low wages, people are working harder and harder, understaffed everywhere, which means more work, but the employment wages haven't gone up in years. So that's the situation I find myself as the average American. It's worse now than ever. So the average American is going to blame the current administration, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, whether we agree with it or not. That's our situation. And because that's our situation, it makes it very, very vulnerable for the Democrats. Because if you're not attached to either party and you just want things to change, you might think to yourself, well, the economy was pretty good under Trump. And my dollar went farther under Trump, right? So again, this is not me taking sides. This is me attempting to really use the empathy technique to put myself in the shoes of the other. So then the next question becomes, well, how do we fix this so that the American people will have faith in this administration? And we have to address the problems that the average American is facing, starting with inflation and whether or not we can give some kind of emergency aid, increasing food stamps to people in depressed areas like West Virginia, where you have populations where 50% of the people living in those areas are living on food stamps, and the food stamps are not going as far as they used to, again, because of inflation. So those are just things that, putting emotion aside, we have to deal with now. We have to make sure people are getting fed. We have to make sure that they can afford their health care because we've got a healthcare crisis in this country. Dealing with the fact that the jobs are not paying what they used to pay. So it felt to me that when someone is suffering that much, what can the president do to make them feel that they are not alone, that they are not isolated, talking directly to them, comforting them, creating an administration that makes people feel like they're being heard, listened to, and most of all, giving people emergency relief. So that's basically what the remote was about. Yes, we could talk about Fox, we can talk about this, that, and the other, and there might be some truth to that, but it doesn't help us with the experiment of attempting to put ourselves in the shoes of the other and try to understand why his popularity is at 43%. In terms of the inflation, it looks to me like things start to balance out around mid-February, which is pretty good. That's only a month away. So we're looking at the problems with trade, and this happens in wartime, right? So if you're in a war, sometimes you can't get certain goods and services, right? And that's basically what happened with the coronavirus. It was a war, and it had similar effects on the American people in wartime. But in wartime, we usually will give people ration books. and things like that, so that people will be given a certain amount of butter, a certain amount of flour, a certain amount of meat is covered. And certainly during the Depression, we had food stamps by FDR. It seems reasonable based on what I'm feeling that we would directly deal with this. And, that's how it feels. Also, healthcare, the same thing, emergency aid. If this president can't do it through Congress, then he would probably have to do it through executive order, these emergency relief packages. It's interesting though, when you put yourself in the shoes of the other, of all of the politicians who I felt had it right, and this is me trying not to be biased, it's actually Bernie Sanders. Because he doesn't pit the poor against one another. He doesn't want to, this poor person against that poor person. That's hegemony, right? You try to get the people you're occupying to hurt one another, the blacks against the whites, and this kind of fighting amongst themselves. What Sanders is saying about decent wages and affordable health care, et cetera, that really closely mirrors how I felt about this remote. People want relief, and they want relief now. So, what do y'all think about that? Oh, thank you, False Teeth Tarot. Yeah, we have memberships here. 299 is the Angels and Empath. What is it? Angels and fairies. Yes, angels are the good, beautiful people who live on a vegan brown rice tofu or steamed vegetable diet. They always do good for themselves. They give 10% to the poor. Like those are the angels, and then the fairies. They're good too, but we tend to have a problem with like too much chocolate. We're a little bit more mischievous. Most human beings are a little bit angel and a little bit fae, right? So that's the fairies and angels. We get together about once a week and we do blitzes, we do private readings, uh, and it's a lot of fun. And then we have the class for people who want to be trained in HCRV, which is very similar to Silva Mind Control, only we use a lot more of the empathy. So if you are interested in that, that's the Empaths and Healers. Then I have a benefactors package, which is $99 a month. I know, expensive, but that's for people who own their own businesses and they want to have a reading once a month to just have me check information about how their business is going. So it comes with a free reading and all the other benefits. So thank you. Thank you for promoting that. Okay, so the next, any questions about that remote? How we win the midterms and why I said what I said? Not that your guys' criticisms about it's not that you didn't make valid points. It's just not going to help us win the midterms. Okay, so then the next thing I got, which had me a little nervous, had to do with the weather. Sorry, Toronto. It was minus 20, minus 30 Celsius with wind chill in Toronto. I think it was yesterday. I know. It's so unfair. Who here is on the East Coast, the Mid Coast, is being hit by that blizzard? I think everybody who's taken HCRV, when you follow the energy of the winter for 2022, do you get what I get? Because what happened to me was I wound up in the Northeast parts of the Midwest, and I literally felt like I was in the North Pole. That's where -6, ay, 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 caramba. Blizzard. Yeah, I'm sorry. See, People get mad at me too. To understand what's happening here, I don't affect the politics and I don't affect, the weather. It's like the old person who would stand outside in the streets of the city and shout, "Here is the news." That's kind of my job, and then if you didn't like what he had to say, maybe you would throw a tomato at him or something, I don't know. Um, it's not my fault. I just follow energy. Oh, so anybody else who did any remote viewing come up with better weather for better weather for 2022 when you followed the energy? I just saw a polar vortex. It's the North Pole. It's not it's Jay, cat lady, she said it's not that cold as cold as it is now, it's not that cold in the North Pole. Washington, I know, I'm sorry, and unfortunately, I have to say it's only going to get worse, and when you follow this energy, it's really all the way like that for the United States. I mean, it's just icicles. Now would be a good time maybe to get yourselves, one of those generators. The problem is that the energy feels like it's stuck too. I feel stuck, like when I follow the energy, it's and then I stay like this and it gets blizzard and colder, and then more cold comes and I can't move. And I'm like, oh, heck no. Oh, no. And I just froze like an icicle, and the more it pushes east, it's just like bombarding it with cold and ice, and I hear that it's snowing in Tennessee. I don't know. So, unfortunately, I think that's gonna get worse. Ugh. So it's another example of a way in which Americans are really suffering right now. We have to show compassion and, if you're poor and you can't afford to pay your heat, that can be very, very scary, can't it? Yeah. So the more we can do to help, the better, right? Okay, so that was the story, the remote view on the weather. And then the last thing I'm looking at, which we can go ahead and do blitzes for, is that people are very worried about Putin's endgame, right? It's interesting when you go into Putin's energy, right? Because it's kind of like he's modeling himself after Stalin, right? He's modeling his administration after Stalin, which is to take back all of the former countries that were part of the Soviet Union. Hmm. So Kazakhstan, he went in, paratroopers came in, it was shoot to kill, hundreds were killed. He wants control over their oil pipeline. No surprise there, right? We've talked about the deal he made with India. Of course, India and Pakistan are arguing about Kashmir. There won't be an argument if Putin can handle it, right? Because Kashmir opens you up into Afghanistan. Yeah. He's not a fan of religious extremism, Islam, particularly not after what happened in Chechnya. So we could see increased tensions between Pakistan and Russia for that reason. Pakistan and China. Scary, right? And now we have him threatening the Ukraine. He's also talking about putting nuclear weapons close to the area, close to the United States, and threatening the United States. This guy really wants this trade. He wants control of these resources because he really feels that the breakup of the Soviet Union was the worst thing that's ever happened. And he's going to do everything he can to get it back. So it's going to be very, very scary because he feels emboldened, right? So we can definitely throw on that later. All right, that's pretty much all I have for you all in terms of remote views. If anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and share them regarding what I just talked about. Would anybody like to have a community tarot reading now that we're already at 11:29? You got the same thing. Terry's a really excellent remote viewer. Yes, the wind. Oh, Terry, yes. Oh, the winds. I've never felt winds like that. Just moving whole semis and cold, cold, cold. Anyway, thank you everyone for your support, and we will get through this together, right? We will get through this together. All right, let's do would everybody like to hear the empath's prayer? Oh, where's my tissue? Oh, here it is. All right, so let's do it together. I know y'all know the prayer. So let's do the empath's prayer, and then we'll give ourselves a nice reading for the week. Message from Spirit for all of us for the week through our community reading. Let's do the prayer. Okay. All right. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say, Amen. Let's go in and see how our week's going to be. What is the message from Spirit for the group this week? I have no idea, but I'm excited. Okay, where we are right now. Pick your battles wisely. This is the message from Spirit. Pick your battles wisely. What is important to you? What is worth fighting for? And what is a waste of energy? The karma card for us right now is the Five of Swords. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Sometimes you have to cede an argument to someone, even if they're wrong, or just not waste your time with someone who, if you find yourself fighting with somebody and you're not making any progress, and the only thing that's happening is that it's getting you more and more annoyed, if you feel like it's taking away your energy from things you could be focusing on, taking care of yourself, getting your home in order, making sure you've got that generator, making sure you've got the house fortified, and in the event of a snowstorm, making sure you've got that extra food, etc. Those are the things that Spirit is saying to concentrate on. What do you need to do to get your house in order, to get your life in order? Because wasting time, not that it was a waste of time, but spending time on battles that you cannot win, arguing with people where there's no resolution, may not be the best place for you to be putting your energy now. So Five of Swords is basically that now is the time to walk away. Now is the time. You made your point, right? Somebody owes you money and didn't pay it back. If somebody is arguing with you about something that isn't worth arguing about, You make your point, but then you've got to just go and live your life. You can't, they're saying just let it go. Let it go because it's not a good use of your time and it's not a good use of your resources right now. And where you're at right now, do not wrap yourself in grief from the past. This has come up for us a lot. So if we're fighting with people where they're just never going to see things our way, if we're arguing with people that refuse to take responsibility, or if it's just exhausting us, it makes us feel like rope-a-dope, where we're burning all this energy, but we're not getting anywhere on things that are not necessarily taking us where we need to go. So let it go and try not to spend too much time grieving about what one has lost, because now is the time to go forward. It's interesting. I've been getting into the daily Stoic, and I think they've got some good stuff there. But one of the things that he talked about is that the only thing, that's the one thing that's really negative to a Stoic is not going forward. We got to go forward. We got to go forward. We got to go forward. Becoming atrophy, not growing, not learning, sitting around, screaming about one's ex-husband for 20 years, right? I stand accused and convicted, right? It's just spinning our wheels and it's not getting us anywhere, when what would really get us somewhere is working on our lives and what we need to do to create the best life for ourselves based on our values, our principles, making sure our home is in order, not spending too much time grieving the past. Instead, one should be working on what one has now and expanding those resources. Where we are right now, a lot of people feeling holed up, a lot of people feeling like they have taken a stand and that they have to defend themselves potentially from attacks. It's also possibly because the weather is so bad, right? That all over the country, people are hunkering in, and just there's this feeling of being walled off and defensive. And people still struggling with challenges of addiction, codependent relationships, trouble letting things go, feeling defensive. Also, the devil card is people get bored, they stay home and they drink. I heard somewhere that alcohol consumption is up 400% since COVID. Because people are bored, so they stay home and they read, find new. This is basically saying if you're bored and you've got too much time on your hands, now is the time to put all that energy that was spent maybe grieving and drinking towards, let me get organized and plow forward with my career, my dreams, my goals, my poetry, my writing, my education, my ability to do the maximum amount of good with what time I have left for myself and for others, and discipline, right? Because this is something that comes up a lot for the group, is temptations, and sometimes being self-indulgent can be a type of temptation. What is above us? Frugality, being frugal in all things, holding back, watching our behavior, being frugal, watching our money, sits in the third house, getting on a budget. This is the time of getting on a budget, looking at where our money goes, looking at our finances, being frugal, looking at our daily habits, regarding our wishes. Those of us who have dreams, now is the time of the disciplinarian, the King of Swords, the Ice King, in response to past placement, our dreams. Discipline, discipline, discipline. Oh, good for you, Diana. Where we are right now, learn to say no. This is a time of learning boundaries. It might not always be easy to have boundaries, but now is the time of boundaries. If somebody is just pulling you into chaos or situations that are, again, going to take you from your own growth, your own work going forward, that's something to be mindful of. What is around us, things are changing very rapidly. Our hope and our fear. We want things to be joyful again. We want, I think a lot of this has to do with COVID, a desire for joy, happiness. Too much time in isolation can bring feelings of depression, anxiety, and fear. 9 of Swords. Now is the time to work, even daily busy work. Getting the home as clean as possible, getting it as organized as possible, donating what you have to the poor, helping where you can. Do not let yourself indulge in feelings of hopelessness, stress, and anxiety. Take control of what you can take control of now and work hard to avoid. If you feel stress or anxiety, get a notebook. They say the one thing that all successful people have is they have an account and reckoning book, right? They have a book where they write down everything that's messed up and everything that they need to fix. Hi, Jeffrey. Good to see you here. An account and a reckoning. What is my what is my debt? What is my assets? What needs to be done in my home, what needs to be done in my job, being about my business. If one is constantly involved in creating a good life for themselves and others, there is no time to grieve about the past. Grieving about the past is a waste of time and energy. You can see that here as the outcome: worry, insomnia, anxiety. Karma is that you have to let it go, and it has to do with grief, particularly grief about what one has lost in the past. A lot of the time we also have fantasies. For example, I grew up just totally in love with romantic comedies, romantic, we all hate it, Elaine. We all hate paperwork. Oh, hi, Mark. Good to see you. Anyway, now is the time to get organized. The winter is seventh house. We're coming into leadership. Now is the time to work towards a leadership. Others are relying on you to be the example, showing them how we plow forward, right? We do our best. Respect for others goes a long way, right? The King of Cups comes to us, the great mediator, learning to respect oneself, respectful discourse with others, the hope and the fear, truth. Archangel Michael, fighting the good fight. And the final outcome for us, we're heading in a very positive direction if we just are about our business, stay on the straight and narrow, deal with what you have to do now, heading in a positive direction over the next 6 months. I was saying a lot of the time I grieve things that are not real because I used to watch all those romantic movies like Me and My Gal, My Pal Joey, and all that stuff. And you believed that it was real and that relationships were like that, and that the knight in the white horse was going to come and he was going to take all my problems away. And I believed that this was real, right? So when the guy showed up and he didn't take away all my problems, well, you can be sure I was pretty pissed off. Hey, buddy, I got a lot of problems here and you're the one that's supposed to fix them. Well, of course, there's no need to be bitter if one is simply believing in something that's not real. You can't be mad at them for not fulfilling your delusion, right? I blame MGM, right? All those romantic dancing, Fred Astaire, right? It's great, but it doesn't have anything to do with objective reality. Now's the time of, we're talking a lot about Stoicism, RBG, right? Be about your business, right? Rely on no one but yourself. Have healthy boundaries. Do not self-indulge in grief. Be aware what's a fantasy and what's real, right? And we plow towards victory. The other interesting thing I've learned from the Stoics is that they don't pat themselves on the back. Well, look what I've accomplished. It's look at how much more I have left to do. Right? It's always going forward. Oh, what more can I learn? Picking a good book, reading a good book, learning from the good book. You might want to check out the what's it called? The Painted Porch? Yes, the Painted Porch Bookstore, which is owned by Ryan Holiday, and he has a book list, Books to Improve Your Character. And I've been working with that. Right now, I'm listening to Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It's quite lovely. But that's if you do that, and if you don't allow yourself to get sucked into, we spin off, right? And just stay focused, we do very well for ourselves. If we are about our business, like my job is, I'm a remote viewer, I'm a tarot reader. So all I have to focus on is being the best, most ethical reader I can be, and be present for my customers and give them the best reading I can. That's all I can worry about, right? Taking pride in our work, producing something we believe in, producing something that we are proud of, and constantly being willing to improve, right? And we plow forward. We are forever going forward, doing our best to help. Well, we have to try, Spirit Beyond the Stars. Yeah, Joe Tilson, exactly. Always going forward, always going forward. Yeah, I like your guys' comments. They're really good. Okay, so I will sip my coffee until I get the order. And then at which point I will, I guess, do some blitzes. And if anybody has any questions for the blitzes, that would be great. Oh my God, that coffee is so good. Oh, I was going to also say hi to Ruth Pearl. Thank you, Ruth. Ruth Pearl is an amazing artist. I mean, like really an amazing artist. Look at these. Aren't these gorgeous? But Ruth, you didn't send me a return address, so I wasn't able to send you a thank you card. And there's the beautiful Ruth with her family, Christmas holidays, and just lovely. But yeah, I wanted to send you a thank you. I love it, but I didn't get a chance to send a card. Oh, well, my goodness, it looks like I've been given the order. Blitz, blitz, blitz away. So the first thing that people wanted to know had to do with what was going on in Tonga. It looks like in Tonga, there was a volcano that erupted under the water, and it caused some problems, tidal waves, etc., tsunamis. I just want to see about the future of Tonga. Scary, isn't it? The future of Tonga. It looks like it's an emergency. There's definitely emergency there, and the energy is very serious. When you go into this Tonga energy, it's very, very serious energy. You have the judgment card coming in, so it's all hands on deck. It feels to me, I don't know anything about this, but it feels to me like there may be missing people and there may be destroyed property, because you have the Ten of Swords moving in. So it could be they're organized right now, they're going in, they're trying to do what they can to take care of the situation, and they haven't totally assessed all of the damage. Also, they're looking at potentially, they're also getting very, very organized, and getting assistance from elsewhere, because you can see a 3 of Pentacles, which I always see as real estate, but it's also an organizing, what do we have to do? And these are very strong people. So what I like about this is that they're not confused. It's not an energy like people are all over the place. It's organized, uh, very in touch with reality. We've got to do this and we've got to do it now, trying to clean up the debris, find bodies as fast as possible, getting organized, and a strong people. In terms of judgment, help from the entire world, very good. Double major arcana cards. World is very positive regarding a lot of suffering because of people and homes that were destroyed. There's going to be help from the government of Tonga helping people rebuild, and there's going to be a really good emergency aid. You can see here being organized, and then the 10 of Cups comes in. Regarding the strength of the people, there will be justice and aid. So it's the best possible outcome in an emergency, in the sense that, you know, they're dealing with a lot, but you can see strength and assistance here. So I would say that Tonga is set up in such a way where they will truly help one another. And maybe that's the good thing about being a smaller country, is that there's more unity. There's more unity that way. Hi, Ana Valencia. Do you recommend getting an Akashic Records reading? Sure, that's what I do. I go in as a remote viewer, and for me, it feels like I've walked into a library and every single book on the shelf is about the person who I'm reading. And so sometimes it surprises me. I'll go into a person's energy and it'll hit me right in the face. I want to talk about my whatever situation, and I'll know immediately, like, okay, when I go into this energy, I have a pretty good idea what we're going to be talking about today. Other times people just want a reading, nothing, no big whoop, nothing's going on. And then I start just poking into finding, oh, yeah. So it depends. But yeah, I think pretty much all good readers do the same thing, right? We just look at the energetic records, and I like it. It's fun. Oh, there's so many good questions here. Somebody had asked about the future of Chechnya, Tia. You know, I don't know, Tia, because when you look at Putin's energy, he really has zero tolerance for anything other than recreating the Soviet Union. So let's take a look at Tia's question, Blitz question. What's the future of Chechnya? This feels to me like zero tolerance for extremism. Putin has zero tolerance for extremism. He's saying in this remote that he is going to smoke them out. So it's an interesting thing to say, because that's actually what Putin did. He went in and he used tanks that had blowtorches on them, and he literally incinerated the fighters in Chechnya. A judgment by Putin, and he's saying that like rats, he will smoke them out. He has zero tolerance for the fighters in Chechnya. He's going to go after them, he says. He's going to smoke them out. He's going to completely eradicate them, and he wants control over the money. The vodka distilleries that got blown up by Chechnyan rebels, this sort of thing. He wants control of the resources. what he calls Muslim extremists, Muslim terrorists. This is an extremely angry reaction by Putin. This is zero. He has a zero tolerance. He's going to have access to those resources. Heartbreak for them. Also, these are people that will be dealt with harshly. This is Siberia. These are people that will go on trial. They'll be snuffed out. They'll go to trial. They'll be investigated. It'll be seen as sedition. He wants to send them off to Siberia. He wants complete control over the money, the finances of Chechnya. So I would say it's not good for Chechnya. I'm sorry to say. Mark Rhodes, good to see you here. Mark wants to know if Putin is going to meet with Kanye West. Did y'all hear about this? Kanye West, interesting gentleman. He wants to meet with Putin to, talk business. So what's going to happen with Kanye West and Putin? Honestly, my first thought is that Putin doesn't have time for this. That's how Putin feels. I don't have time for this. I don't think Putin considers Kanye West important because he's not a world leader that can get Putin what he wants. Okay, Putin and Kanye West. Probably not. There's a lot of confusion here by Putin. This Putin. He's too busy taking over the world. I mean, I don't know if Putin has time for this. This is phase 2, phase 3 for Putin. Now he wants to, what first was to disable the United States and get them out of areas like Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, to open up so that he could take control over the resources because he wanted his trade. We've talked about that ad nauseum. And so he's in the middle of making this happen. So that's why I don't think that maybe if something was going to air, if he thought it was going to help him politically by airing it on Russian TV. But other than that, I don't think it's not a main priority for Putin right now with those types of cards. I really want to check Putin in Ukraine because I'm really worried about this. And that's because he's now talking about if we don't give him what he wants, it's going to be the Cuban Missile Crisis all over again. So let's take a look at that. The Cuban Missile Crisis, that's not good. All right. Putin, what is Putin going to do in the Ukraine? Putin in the Ukraine. He feels that there are laws on the books that entitle him to certain rights in the Ukraine. You can see here, hidden law revealed, the truth. He feels justified. He feels justified. 2 of Pentacles moving in, trickster, regarding money going back and forth. The Russian mafia, every time I go into this, the Russian mafia is so deep into the Ukraines, in the hotel business, in the entertainment business, gambling, prostitution, human trafficking, drugs, etc. It just feels like it's Russian mafia everywhere, but you have an 8 of Cups here. So something seems to be happening that's going to keep him from, he's not going to be able to get the Ukraine. because you have the Five of Swords moving in, walking away. This is something he can't let go of. You know, the Devil card is like a codependent relationship. He just can't let it go. But look at this. He's going to have to move on because this is not going to happen. Also, you have mediators coming in, right? This is Archangel Raphael. Also, Hermes is sometimes depicted by this card, the messenger. Raphael brings the healing waters, right? So you have Page of Swords, which is Archangel Michael, which is the sword of truth who battles the devil. But the archangel associated with healing is Raphael. So I think they're going to bring, this is something I've always seen, which is that they need mediators because he's so angry. Putin is so determined. He's so emboldened that something's going to happen. But for some bizarre reason, he has to let it go, because when you get a card like an Eight of Cups coming in, it means that he's going to have to accept the fact that it's not going to happen. Oh, Kanye West went to North Korea. North Korea is weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm losing my mind, but I just don't think that guy. I mean, like, is that guy Kim Jong-un? He's got like a prosthetic tape on the back of his head. I don't know. He's smiling. The old guy never smiled. Either he's on happy pills, or I just don't think that's Kim Jong-un. I think the military took over. Oh, Ron Paul is not doing well. I don't know. Kanye West. Well, it's interesting. When somebody wants to hang out with dictators, that's probably not a good sign, is it? Oh, let's take a look at the future of Stacey Abrams. She wants to be the governor of Georgia. Stacey Abrams, will she become the governor of Georgia? Stacey Abrams, the governor of Georgia. Stacey Abrams. She is somebody you never want to underestimate. I mean, that's one thing I will say. Every time I go into the energy of Stacey Abrams, I always feel like, wow. One time I did a profile where I put myself in the shoes of Stacey Abrams, and she said, I've been underestimated her whole life. Like, she said that she's always been underestimated, and then people are always stunned by what she accomplishes, and it's because so many people underestimate her. She comes into this with the Emperor, which is logic and reason. It's always associated with the frontal lobes, right? The prefrontal cortex, being rational, being a good judge. So the biggest strength I see for Stacey Abrams is that she's very grounded in reality. She's not, she's somebody who has the ability to look at things very objectively without any kind of emotion attached to it. There's something here about her having a liaison with somebody else, like, or having some kind of a reaching across the aisle that happens. You have the Queen of Cups, the Queen of Hearts moving in, and then you have the Lovers coming, which would indicate reaching across the aisle. There's some kind of movement that Stacey Abrams is creating that looks like alliances. She's creating these alliances, and then the Two of Cups comes in. So now is the time for her to build strong alliances with unions, with people in positions of power. And if she wants to win, it will most likely come from her ability to create alliances. And these alliances are also going to support her financially. Right now, she's at a point where she's creating these people or groups that are saying, if you represent my group or my union, if you help us, we will fund your campaign. And that's what I see, is this strong ability to create alliances that and that give her the financial fortitude to go forward. It's a very clever, methodical way to go forward. All right. You're my sister's best friend. Sometimes is a caddy for Trump, and he gives him a $1,500 tip. 45 said he's not running for 2024. Also, he mentioned, where do you think your tip is coming from? Oh, really? Thank you, Miss Brazil, by the way, for that donation. So he's taking the money from the Republican Party and using it to tip people, but it's not really his money. Well, you can be generous when it's somebody else's money, right? Alan Dershowitz, yes, not exactly how you want Harvard's law school to, doesn't exactly bode well. I'm not a fan of Harvard. I think it's overpriced. Good Boys Club. It has a long history of promoting eugenics. They've had several buildings in Harvard built in honor of fascists. And they have a long history of helping prop up the powers that be and using the law in order to, basically screw people over. So I'm not a fan of Harvard at all. I think they have a shameful history. And Alan Dershowitz, who is one of the people named as, he helped Epstein get a great deal so that he himself would not be charged as a pedophile. This is not a good person. His wife committed suicide. A lot of people think that this guy is a true sociopath. I'm beginning to think it's true, quite frankly. And just a horrible, shameful history. Yale is worse. Yeah. We need to get over this fantasy we have about these old schools that are overpriced with their bloody awful histories of propping up hegemony and white supremacy and eugenics. I did my dissertation on eugenics, and it was all traced back to these aristocratic schools because whites wanted to stay in power. So you're not helping yourself by having an overpriced education from one of these schools. Get a state education and oh, a British citizen. How bizarre. Well, again, eugenics. Sorry, Britain, but that's where it comes from. All right, let's take a look at the future of Alan Dershowitz. Try not to get sick while I do this throw. Yes, they did. Same thing in Britain, and they need to be, no more. Just let them fall. Let them fall. They are institutions of racism, propped up as something else. The reason they're expensive is because they want to keep poor people out. Oh, his wife committed suicide because it's cheaper than paying for alimony. Yeah, that's pretty much Dershowitz. She jumped off a bridge, I think. He's a complete sociopath. And he uses the law in order to do terrible things. British of Arabic heritage. Well, that's unfortunate. What is going on with Alan Dershowitz? Someone's angry. Oh, he's continuing to work in law. He has, he is somebody who has so brilliantly used the law to not have to be accountable. He's probably going to help the Prince Andrew. You can see him investigating the law, possibly investigating the law in the United States and Britain. There's a world card coming in, attempting to mediate and refusing to cooperate. So he's the guy who says, well, I'll help Andrew. I'm going to get you out of this, Andrew. Money. New beginning. He's involved. He's looking at international law. I mean, the problem is that a lot of sociopaths are brilliant intellectually. He's defensive because more evidence is going to come out against Dershowitz, and it's going to become increasingly difficult for him to be able to create word salad to cover up what he did. You can see here, 9 of Wands is moving in for him, refusing to cooperate. He's on the defensive. There's this fear coming up. They're going after him. There's a woman in a position of power, the Queen of Wands, over him. They are systematically putting the squeeze on Dershowitz. So this looks like he'll probably try to help other people who have been accused, and may even be looking at international law. And then more evidence emerges about him. Maybe a tape is released or something like that. And then the final outcome appears to be that the Queen of Wands comes after him, who seeks justice absolute, and she's in a strong position of leadership. She carries the robe of loyalty. I wouldn't want that queen after me. Oh, Texas synagogues under terrorist watches. Lovely. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at the hostage situation in Texas. Oh, poor Prince Andrew has to sell his Swiss chalet. Oh, poor baby. Texas synagogues. Reminds me of Driving Miss Daisy, where she's being driven to the synagogue, and Morgan Freeman has to tell her, we're not going to the synagogue tonight. Well, why not? There seems to be a situation. Do you remember that from Driving Miss Daisy? And I think it's in Texas, right? Breaking news. Texas synagogues. I think it's going to be okay. You have places of worship, the Hierophant, how we look towards God and spirit, the person who was involved, jail, the feds coming in, Ace of Wands, and then the investigation. So I don't think anyone was hurt, right? Thank God. I can look at Prince Andrew next. Yes. I want to look at Prince Andrew next. No, there's going to be a lot of support coming for the synagogues. This guy probably acted alone. I don't see major. Yeah, you can see the law coming in. Investigation, heartbreak. I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to be okay. It does look like whatever it was it's dealt with. All right. Poor Prince Andrew having to sell his Swiss chalet. Let's take a look at the future of Prince Andrew. This is fun, isn't it? Okay. What is going on with Prince Andrew? Prince Andrew is a naughty, naughty boy. It's gotten to the point now where the basic feedback he's getting is that he is nobody can protect him now. He's lost a lot of support. He can't be protected, and he's been abandoned by even the royals. There is this steady decline of support for Andrew, and it's almost like he's been thrown to the wolves. You can see this tower moving in for him. Everything has fallen apart. The monarchy would remain strong if they throw him. If they attempt to defend him, it will weaken the monarchy. The only way that the monarchy can remain strong is if they throw this guy to the wolves. It's almost like we've got to sacrifice one of our own. Ta-ta! The strength of the monarchy. Where he's at right now looks a little bit like him. And then Two of Pentacles. It's business. You know, somebody in your corporation goes too far. You've got to throw them to the wolves. Que sera, sera. Oh, thank you so much, shop girl. Oh, he's facing some serious problems. They're going to sacrifice Andrew. Well, he was the spare. You have the heir and you have the spare. He was the spare, so we can go ahead and off you go. They're the monarchy. They don't have a heart. They're sociopaths. Oh, well, off you go. It was nice knowing you. The monarchy. Oh, yes. Justice, strength. They're going to throw him to the wolves. Well, we all have one. Some nutter in the family. He's going to be in exile, but he might be able to get out of jail. This is almost like they run him out of town. It would be better if he didn't retire in Britain. He might want to consider retiring elsewhere. His finances are a mess. Issues regarding his inheritance. Yeah, it's not going well for him. I wouldn't want those cards. Yes, he was stripped of all, he was stripped. This is a good question about secession. With Texas is talking about ceding, all this crazy talk, which is great. Then we won't have to give them federal funds, right? Since they don't seem to know what to do with them anyway. But let's take a look at the red states. And we know that some of the people who organized January 6th have been charged with sedition. So a rollicking time was had by all. Let's take a look at Texas. Oh, I don't think everyone in Texas wants that, Jane. What is going on with the future of Texas? I always see it becoming green again. And I think it's just because this polar thing is moving down and it's causing more rain in the south, and that causes the greening of the south. Because I see 4 seasons in Texas and I see forest expanding. So it's almost like Mother Nature knows what she's doing. Oh, it's hot over there. I'll just move the vortex. Okay, you're not hot anymore. I mean, it really looks like that, right? I'm hot over there. I'm going to just adjust my shirt a little bit, right? So unfortunately, then it becomes like minus 20 in Dallas, right? Send them to Siberia? Well, Siberia is only a couple miles away if this cold trend continues. Yeesh. Mother Nature knows what she's doing. She's just changed the vortex, right? Deep in the heart of Texas, da 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 da. I see a beautiful future for Texas. Sun coming out, strong state, new loving Queen of Cups coming in, Chariot, could be moving or leaving secession, but it doesn't look like I see a war. No. Texas has a beautiful future. And I see 4 seasons. It's something we didn't anticipate. You know, when we look at global warming, we didn't expect her to do that flippy thing that she's been doing, Mother Earth. But we really start to see it the next couple of years where she, you know, the northern states become extremely cold, the middle states, and even the southern states drop their temperatures. But that's how she helps herself, right? That's how Mother Nature, yes. Oh, no, Texas is wonderful. Beautiful future, beautiful green future for Texas. I always see beautiful things. It's interesting when you go forward 400 years, 400 years on planet Earth, it's much greener. And I think that's just because we get off fossil fuels, but also because the vortex changes. No, actually, justice is coming to Texas. Also, good use of their resources. Look at that nice money coming in, strong economics. There's an 8 of Swords over the Queen of Cups. So there is a feeling like the people fighting the good fight do feel somewhat constrained. But boy, look at this. The world comes in for Texas. Texas is going to be a beautiful state. It is a beautiful state. We shouldn't judge Texas by a few lunatics. But actually, it's a beautiful state with a beautiful future. And I just see good things for Texas. I really do. I want to do that. I want to see, I think because there are so many changes happening for Texas, I think Beto O'Rourke could shock us. I think it'll be a big shock if he wins the governorship, but I think it's entirely possible. Will Beto O'Rourke win in Texas? We'll do one more after this and then we'll call it a day because it's already 12:22. This is fun. Isn't this fun? Okay. Will Beto O'Rourke become the governor of Texas? Very possibly, yes. Smoother waters lay ahead for him. Also taking us to smoother waters, a judgment. He fights the good fight. He gains the world. Yes, it's very possible that things are dramatic. Things are falling apart. And look, remember when we've done remote views on Texas, it just showed heavy. The Justice Department is not the Justice Department of Donald Trump. They believe in the law. They believe in justice. If you're stealing money, you're going to prison. that there are major audits. Yes, definitely. There are major audits that are going on in Texas, and Texas will be a great state, and it's very possible that we could see Beto O'Rourke winning. Look at this. He also really is in a good place in terms of helping Texas. And there's a new beginning happening for Texas. It's almost like a new dawn comes to Texas. In terms of the people that he was dealing with, it's very old alliances, right? This is the codependency. Maybe it's the oil, the steer, the old economy. There is this clinging still to the past, but you can see rapid changes happening. We really have no choice. We have to get on with the new green economy because we won't be able to sell our resources to the rest of the world because the rest of the world is getting off of oil and they're getting off of nuclear power, just like they banned it now in Germany. And so it kind of puts the United States, we can either get with the program or go broke because no one's going to buy our stuff. If nobody's buying our oil, then what's the point of producing oil? So what I like about Texas's cards is that they embrace this new energy that's coming in. And what I also love about going forward is when we decrease the methane and when we decrease the damage caused by being an oil-based economy, it's shockingly amazing how rapidly the ecosystem can recover. Because I really see the steer and the oil has really had a dramatic impact on the environment in Texas. So again, when you see the polar vortex moving further south, and when you see the decline in fossil fuel and cattle, it really changes things quite a bit. Yes, that's true. That's one of the things that we saw was that Texas was under audit for the next 2.5 years. Yeah. Justice for Texas. All right, we're going to do one quick throw about the future of Oklahoma, which has been a poor state for a long time, but it doesn't have to be. So let's look at the future of Oklahoma. And then I was asked if I could look at the future of Boris Johnson, and that'll be the last throw. Thank you, Christopher Aguala, for that donation. I really appreciate it. All right, Miss Linda, what's going on with Oklahoma's future? Wow, everybody's getting judgment as the first one. Solid judgment coming in. New opportunities, 6 of Cups, which is like old loves returning. They may have to get out of their own way. They may have to look at, oh, very nice. They're starting to do green farming in Texas, and that really dramatically improved. They're going to have some changes in their ecosystem that are probably going to lend themselves to a new green farming. And also they're going to be getting federal funds to change over the economy. Look at this. Good decisions made regarding business. This is a gardener's card. It's also 6 of Cups, soulmate. Could indicate that Oklahoma used to be a farming community. It looks like it goes back to that with assistance, 2 of Cups. And then you can see here, they were bound to the old ways, but then they have the magician coming in. And then regarding funding for the new green economy and the new green farming that they're going to be doing, they get their wish and they get their funding. So farming in Oklahoma and agriculture is going to change dramatically over the years. And that is really good for Oklahoma. So Ian McGrath, hi Ian, it's good to see you again. I haven't seen you in a while. He's talking here about Boris Johnson and how people want Boris Johnson to be kicked out because he had a party during COVID when Omicron was raging, and he's just done a lot of things that have made him not very popular right now. So let's just take a look at the future of Boris Johnson in Britain. Probably Marie, yeah, because so many people are going to trial. Hi, Ian. I missed you. I haven't seen you in a while. Ian is very funny. All right, let's take a look at Boris Johnson's future. He feels like he's protected. He's got a strength card here. There seems to be some investigation. So some Tories are calling for him to step down. You can see the high priestess coming in. There's some question about his relationships that's under investigation because of the devil card, and something here about secrets, family dynamics, inheritance, and secrets. It's like he's under investigation. You can see it here too. He's got the spotlight on him. And then here again, the sun. Something happened. You can see here the light coming out, the sun, investigation. And then that codependency, that devil card, and false promises, the false knight. And then regarding his inheritance of his position, they will reconvene in spring. So this is a spring card. I don't know what's going on in politics in Britain right now, but it's almost like it's saying that they're going to be talking around spring of 2022 about the future of the Tories with that kind of card. He may be fine, but it looks as if he's there's some kind of an investigation happening or something with him. I don't know what that's about, but that's weird because devil card would indicate that he has a codependent relationship or an alliance that's happening that, and then the sun coming out with the high priestess could indicate truth coming out about some kind of business dealing something he's doing that is brought to light. And then the time spring seems to be, Oregon's not going anywhere. But the Russian papers? I don't know what that is. I read, but there's only so many things I can read about. He is being investigated by someone he named to investigate. What? Oh my gosh. So I just want to do a clarification on the investigation. There is definitely an investigation. They followed the money. Yes. He'll be pushed out of the Tories because of an investigation. You can see the Hierophant, the higher ethos. There's a judge here or some kind of judgment. Then there's Two of Pentacles, which can be passing coin back and forth. And then Nine of Wands, having to defend his position. He may wind up just like Prince Andrew in the sense that he's pushed out. Oh, he's involved in the Russia thing. Well, evidently it's coming out. They want him out by the spring. I mean, they might tolerate him a little bit. Are you guys having some kind of elections or something in spring? What's happening in the spring? Yeah. He's created a lot of tension. I mean, there's a lot of fighting around him. Having parties. Now is not the time for parties. Bizarre, bizarre. Yeah, Boris Johnson is going to be like squeezed out. That's what it looked like. Wow. Crazy. Partying like it's 1990. Thanks everyone for the support. We had a really fun time today. Andrew Cuomo, I felt like he was going to try and clean his mess up. Yeah. Thank you everybody for the support. If you're trying to get in for readings, you can go to tarotwithwhimsy.com, and I'd love to give you a reading. And please support the other readers. Is there anything else I need to say? Thanks for coming. Thanks for the support. I really enjoy hanging with you all. And I'll see you next time. All right. Be well, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.